Whoo boy! Talk about really trying to go for a different approach and having it work. Because, like, this season, this felt way more depressing, albeit in a good way, than prior seasons, and how just no one really could seem to catch a break during this entire season. Like, the person that actually, I think, handled things the best and came out okay was Lip. And even then, that's a tough sell. Really? Because, like, what everyone had to go through, Frank with the liver transplant, Fiona getting taken away from her family, but because of some luck and some generous circumstances on her behalf, she isn't away for that long. Lip, yeah, he's got to deal with college midterms, and he's going straight to a 4-year college. That's tricky. There's a lot more pressure there, because, like, I went to 2-year college, then went to university. Yeah, I was there for 3 years, but the university for 3 years, but that's no walk in the park, okay? You really got to apply yourself. And then Ian having his circumstances happen with the end of the season revelation that he probably has bipolar, having things make a lot more sense for him, because, yeah, I knew that the military bid was definitely going to come and bite him, but I was surprised that they didn't show anything from his side at all, but I guess that's just because of all the effort they'd have to do to start filming military scenes, so then they just have everything happen away from the main cast, whereas Lip, because he didn't go to, like, MIT and just went to the local state university, which I think is actually the better move, because he's not as far away from the family and there is less pressure on him, because he feels that there's a lot of pressure on him, where I imagine if he went to MIT, he would have been under even more. So he definitely made the right call. But getting back to Ian, and like how when we first see him, he's just acting as if nothing happened, but he was showing a couple stories from his training days that he remembered fondly, but it's like, you say, oh yeah, I've had enough with that. It's like, wait a sec, dude, you were trying to do some kind of military thing for all of the past few seasons, indicating that it was your goal. Then you lie about your name and your age to get in, and then all of a sudden you're just like, oh yeah, I don't care that I'm out. Like, what's up with that? But that could have been the start of his bipolar thing, where he starts feeling unrest. He can't explain it, but he just realizes that this isn't working in my mind, and I'm just done. He doesn't even think it through. And also, he might have been using an alias while he was working in that bar, which helps explain what I'm about to mention, but it's like, how come the military never came back? Because, like, they were investigating Ian when he first went rogue, but then they just give up? Military is not going to just give up like that, especially since by the end of the season, only, like, I don't know, 4-ish months have passed? Something like that? That's not enough time for them to give up. Something's going to have to happen there, although of course they might apply some show logic and just write that bit off, like they kind of just wrote off Mandy's abortion bit, although they didn't write off her dad being a psycho. Thank God for that. And it's really interesting to see how that bipolar eventuality, assuming that is what it is, though everybody seems pretty sure enough that we can safely call it that, is what jump-started Mickey to finally take a stand and do something, because with all that complicated dynamic of the Russian chick and Mickey and Kevin trying to work out some kind of arrangement with the ball, like, that was really getting to be too much in my mind, with who owes money to who, just enough of that. So hopefully the show gives a better resolution to that story arc in next season, even if it just means writing it off. Like, that was just overkill in my mind. Although the construction scene bit, that does makes sense. There was this arts and craft place that my mom would frequent back when I was like, I don't know, 12, but it ended up having to shut down because of a construction project that was nearby, and they took really forever to get done, and it just killed the business. Little things like that, that's what can cost you. Right, but it was nice to see Mickey finally take a stand, and how at the end of the season the roles were reversed, where it was Mickey actually trying to move things forward, albeit in his little way of, yes, I want to move things forward, but I'm not going to say it. And Ian is the one who's just shutting him out, although for entirely different reasons. I still don't ship the two, but it's clear as day that's where the show is going now, and given how the in-universe time, I think, is 2013, which is, I believe, about when Illinois made same-sex marriage legalized. Can't remember if it was 13 or 12. Yeah. Could happen now once they're both 18. They're almost there. Right. What they did with Debbie and Carl and having their first romance bits, well, one could argue that, they're a bit too young for that, but at the same time, you look at the environment that they're in and all the things that all the people around them are doing that isn't so good, it makes sense. And he's had unbelievable amount of exposure to hard substances and pornography. It just makes sense that he gets into it a little earlier. Sure, he did listen when the girl who looks like that chick from the Divergent movies, I know it's not the same chick. Sure, he did stop this when that girl said that she didn't want to have sex, and he actually seemed surprisingly okay with it, but, he's got to deal with first attraction to people, first heartbreak at the end of the season, Same thing with Debbie, except she really truly wants to go further, feeling inferior to everyone else, which in a normal neighborhood you're just overreacting, but in her neighborhood, as is explained on the special features, it makes sense. She's seen everyone else that she knows is female do similar things early on, so yeah. So I do feel for her, but it's real interesting to see how that Matt guy has the development to where he's into Debbie, then realizes that she's too young, holds himself back, but is still like, you are an interesting person, and I'm glad that I know you, but you clearly want something that we can't have right now. What? This is just how it is. Right. Okay. Yeah, I've kind of glossed over some people's story arcs, but given how I mentioned the Can't Catch a Break at the beginning, that does mostly take care of Frank and Fiona, so I don't really feel like I need to mention them in that much detail, honestly. And then going back to Lip, that chick, Amanda, that he's basically dating, that did kind of come out of nowhere, but I did begin to notice that when he was describing what she needs to do to take care of Liam, it's like, okay, yeah, she does seem to be interested in you. Well, more interested, and at first you just think that she's moving from one guy to the next, but there might actually be something there, because as when you have the bit where Lip meets Amanda's parents and that they offer him some money to stay away, he ends up taking it, and she's just like, really? Yeah, you just jumped at the first opportunity? And Lip is like, yeah, I took it. I've never seen that much money before. And then she just forgets about it seconds later. I think they definitely could have done that a little better, but it did add a new layer to the relationship. And I just loved that over-the-top bit where the social worker shows up, and then you've got Carl's girlfriend's family just all running around the house, and then she listens to the conversation that Lip has with Amanda's parents, and she's doing all kinds of bad remarks about the place, but she's looking at Lip, who is the quote-unquote responsible adult in this situation, and I don't get why he lied about Frank. Fiona, yes, but Frank just say he's in the hospital, undergoing some treatment. I have no clue when he's going to be back. If he had just simply said that, she would have bought it in a heartbeat, I think. Because you can't really interview somebody when they're in a hospital. They're too far removed from the picture. She would have just had to ask Lip about Frank anyway. But by all rights, she should be saying this is an unfit environment, but I'm guessing she either knows a little bit about the neighborhood or is looking at Lip and goes, by all rights, you should be over the top with what you're trying to do and unable to handle yourself. And you see how calm he is, just moving from babysitting mode to adult mood to guy mode, and just so she doesn't do anything. That was great. That was a good one. I really don't think that relationship is going to last, even though there is the potential for it to, but come on, with this show, something's going to happen that's going to destabilize everybody's lives, especially with Jimmy showing up again at the end of the season. And it's going to be real interesting to explain how, one, he's still alive, and two, how he seems to have created a new life for himself, because he can't just waltz over to medical school like he was originally planning to. But who knows? Maybe he did. We'll see. Anything else I really think I need to mention? Oh, yeah. I introduced the character of Samantha, and how Frank has had an elder daughter all this time. Well, they did a decent job of explaining the origin story, though they don't do a good job of explaining who her mother was. She's never mentioned by name, based on what I can recall. I am glad, though, that they didn't write her off fast. It was surprising that she decided to give Frank another chance after it was revealed that he was her father when they almost did it, but then again, she realizes that he's not really in a much better situation than she is. Heck, he's in a worse situation, and the main reason he tried to get to know her was to try and get the transplant, and she just forgives him for that? Odd, but it's kind of in line with the show, you know? So I hope that they give the character a little bit more to do in next season, just to see if she can provide a little bit more in there, because, let's face it, everything that she did nonetheless revolved around Frank trying to get a new liver, so let's give her something a little bit more original. Hopefully they can do that. Well, I didn't think this video would be about as long as the others, but it was. See ya.